What is happening at the moment is, and I think this is where the fear in especially societies and cultures like India comes in, that the children are mostly better informed. And many a times, while they may not understand it completely, but because they are spending a lot of time on the internet, they are very extensive experts of the topic. And parents, as well as the state, to a large extent, is scared because the internet sometimes feels like that there are five big companies which are running the whole show about this technology. And the big tech companies largely do so as well when it comes to countries like India. My question goes to much broader aspect that and I don't know if this has been achieved in Europe already by your organization, but what you were talking about, programs like digital citizenship, or how do you spread awareness and capacity building at scale? And when it comes to India, the scale becomes very different and very diverse. But what would be the initial steps to get this going, where it can become a common practice, like how to cross a road or how to use a spoon, the examples you gave earlier?
Well, first of all, it's very difficult to speak about Europe because although Europe, the whole of Europe as compared to India is small, we have huge differences. Earlier on, you mentioned a German expert. I would like to believe that it was such a very conscious decision, but at the moment, surprisingly, Germany and Austria are the least digitally literate countries in the whole of Europe, which is very, very, very interesting. Usually there is a big difference between the north and south, east and west. At the same time, most of the southern European countries are much better in digitalization and also navigating the digital age than especially Germany and Austria. But also France is not doing that well, and some of the Eastern European countries. So it's difficult to talk about Europe as a whole. For this reason, it's also very different how being an active citizen in the digital age, which is sometimes called active digital citizenship or digital citizenship, is perceived. What is very helpful, and I think that you can also use all the material that is available there, is that the Council of Europe has done an awful lot of work around active digital citizenship, focusing on three areas: being online, rights online, and well-being online. You will find material that is targeting schools, that is targeting parents, and also that is targeting the children themselves. At the moment, we are just finalizing, for example, guidelines for digital companies and schools to work together. So I think that if you want to start with something existing, you can very much rely on the material freely available from the Council of Europe. We are using it a lot. At the same time, I also believe that whenever it comes to supporting parents, the responsibility is with professionals. And since the overwhelming majority of children sooner or later start attending school, we believe, and we also act accordingly, that the professional responsibility for supporting parents also in becoming active digital citizens is with the professionals in the school. And although it doesn't look like something totally connected, but I mentioned earlier that we have this active citizenship training, we believe that the school as a learning organization can be a safe environment where you can learn how to become an active digital citizen. But for that, the school has to become also democratic and participatory. So if you really want to educate digital citizens, then the school itself needs to change and needs to open its doors both for daily life and also for decision making to parents, children, and local communities. And although these two things don't seem to be very close to each other, the whole school approach or open schooling approaches that have been gaining ground, not only in Europe, but also in other countries, are supporting active citizenship in general. And since we live in the digital age, necessarily it has to have elements that are focusing especially on digitalization, especially because when it comes to participating in school or in school decision making, a lot depends on communication. And when it comes to communication, we are heavily relying on various versions of digital technology. So these two things are very closely related. And it's not easy because just like parents having the role model of kind of oppressive parents, teachers, well, I was trained as a teacher myself, were trained to, on the one hand, believe that they can control learning, which is not true. And on the other hand, they are used to the hierarchical structure of school. So they also have to let go of this kind of power play, and it needs training. But I believe that while parents have a kind of duty, a very general duty by law to raise their children the best way they can, teachers have a much stronger duty, a professional duty, to develop their own competences and to offer the necessary help. And I also know that for many teachers, it feels like an extra burden. But like it or not, it's part of your job as a teacher to also work together with the family, because then you can actually support the learning of children. And what you also see that when we achieve this, there are more and more schools that are open to this, that are taking this kind of approach. Teachers will also realize that they will have a much better and much easier job. Because once the parents properly celebrate the learning that is happening in the school, then they have a much easier job in the classroom. So everything is interconnected. And whenever we talk about raising children in the digital age, I always come back to the fact that this is a holistic thing, when everything is connected with everything else. And as our lives have changed using digital technology, now that we can talk, you are in India, I'm in the Netherlands, we cannot continue with the same mechanisms in other fields. Digital technology in school doesn't just mean that you bring a device in the classroom and the same kind of teaching will happen. It mustn't. The knowledge, the facts are on the internet. What the teacher has to do is to teach the children to verify the facts, critical thinking, and to guide the children in their learning journeys, which is actually active citizenship.